Vrexia's footsteps echoed down the polished corridor of the Imperial Consulate, her tail swishing behind her in sharp, measured movements. She clutched the data pad in her hand, skimming over the orders one final time. The human colony on Alara V had been under observation for some years now, and finally, the Council decided it was time for direct engagement. Vrexia's task was clear: to ensure compliance and smooth integration of the humans into the intergalactic community without causing an incident. No coercion, no force, just diplomacy. Easier said than done, she thought as she approached the primary conference room. Her people's first contact with humans had been anything but simple. Their unpredictable nature, combined with their quick wit, made them formidable negotiators. Vrexia was determined not to repeat the mistakes of her predecessors. This time, she would keep a firm grip on the situation from the start. As the door slid open, she was met with the sight of Nathan Reynolds, the appointed human diplomat. He stood near the center of the room, gesturing animatedly as he spoke to his aide, a stocky man named Liam. The two humans were clearly deep in conversation, their voices carrying an edge of urgency. Vrexia stepped into the room, her smooth features composed and calm. "Gentlemen," she began, her tone cool. "I hope I'm not interrupting." Nathan turned, his expression shifting from irritation to a disarming smile in an instant. "Ah, you must be Envoy Vrexia," he said, extending a hand. "I'm Nathan Reynolds. It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Vrexia hesitated for the briefest moment before taking his hand. The gesture was unusual in her culture, but she'd studied enough human customs to understand its meaning. "The pleasure is mine, Mr. Reynolds. I trust you've had time to review the initial proposals we sent over." Nathan chuckled, glancing at Liam. "Let's just say we've reviewed them thoroughly. Haven't we, Liam?" Liam gave a quick nod, his expression more reserved than his superiors. "That we have, but there are concerns." Vrexia's gaze shifted between them. "Concerns? The terms are fair and designed to benefit both parties. If you could elaborate, I'm sure we can address any misunderstandings." Nathan's smile widened, though it carried a hint of mischief. "You see, that's the thing. What you consider fair might feel a little constraining to us. Humans are a bit peculiar about our autonomy." "You misunderstand," Vrexia replied, keeping her voice steady. "The integration framework is not about control. It's about partnership and ensuring that your colony aligns with intergalactic regulations. Without such alignment, trade, technology exchange, and mutual security measures become untenable." Nathan stepped closer, his tone shifting from light-hearted to serious. "And that's exactly what we're concerned about. We're a small colony, just finding our footing. The last thing we need is to lose our ability to make independent decisions." Vrexia inclined her head slightly. "Mr. Reynolds, no one is taking away your decision-making authority. However, as a member of the intergalactic community, your colony would need to adhere to certain standards. These standards exist to protect everyone involved." "And who decides those standards?" Liam interjected. "You do, not us." Vrexia's sharp eyes narrowed slightly, though she maintained her calm demeanor. "The standards are established by the Council, of which your representatives could eventually have a seat. This is a first step. Surely you can see the benefit in aligning your colony's future with the broader interstellar network." Nathan crossed his arms, his expression thoughtful. "It's not that we don't see the benefits. It's that we value our independence. This colony was founded by people who wanted a fresh start. If we agree to everything you're proposing, it feels like we're handing over the reins before we've even hit our stride." "Perhaps I can explain it differently," Vrexia said, stepping toward the large display at the front of the room. With a flick of her wrist, the screen lit up, showing a map of the known galaxy. Alara V is located near several key trade routes. If your colony is fully integrated, you gain access to these routes, advanced medical technology, and enhanced communication networks. Your independence is not compromised. It's strengthened. Nathan studied the map, his brow furrowing. "You make it sound like a no-brainer." "That's because it is," Vrexia replied, her voice softening. "What's the alternative? Remaining isolated? Risking piracy, resource shortages, and diplomatic misunderstandings with neighboring systems? Joining the intergalactic community is not about giving up freedom, it's about securing it." Liam leaned forward, his arms resting on the table. What happens if we don't join? Vrexia met his gaze. Then you remain vulnerable. My presence here is not an ultimatum. It's an invitation. But make no mistake, the galaxy is not always a kind place. If you choose to stay isolated, the risks are your own. Nathan rubbed his chin, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his features. You drive a hard bargain, envoy. I'm not here to bargain, Vrexia said, her voice firm but not unkind. I'm here to offer a path forward. The room fell silent for a moment. Nathan glanced at Liam, who gave a subtle shrug. All right, Nathan said finally. We'll consider your proposal. But no promises. We need time to discuss it with the rest of our leadership. Of course, Vrexia replied, inclining her head. I'll leave the documents for your review. Please feel free to reach out with any questions. My team and I are at your disposal. As she turned to leave, Nathan's voice stopped her. One more thing, envoy. She paused, looking back over her shoulder. Yes. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but you're a little more. He hesitated, searching for the right word. Direct than I expected. Vrexia's lips curved into a small smile. Directness is often necessary in diplomacy, Mr. Reynolds. I find it saves time. Nathan chuckled, a glint of admiration in his eyes. Fair enough. We'll be in touch. Vrexia nodded once more and exited the room. As the door slid shut behind her, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. Nathan Reynolds was every bit as challenging as her superiors had warned. But there was something else there, something she hadn't anticipated. Whether it was his sharp mind or his undeniable charm, she couldn't quite put her finger on it. One thing was certain, this assignment was going to be far more complex than she had expected. Nathan stood on the observation deck, gazing out at the sprawling blue-green surface of Alara V. He leaned forward slightly, his hands gripping the railing. Beside him, Liam shifted uncomfortably, his stocky frame looking slightly out of place in the pristine, white-walled environment of the alien vessel. You don't have to stand so close to the edge, Liam muttered. Nathan glanced at him, a faint smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. It's reinforced glass. Relax. I'm not going to fall through. It's not the glass I'm worried about, Liam said. It's the company we're keeping. You saw how sharp her teeth are. Vrexia's not going to eat us, Nathan said. She'd need a better reason than humans annoy me. Liam frowned. You don't find it unsettling? She's just... I don't know. Too calm. Like she's sizing us up, figuring out the best way to pin us down. Nathan straightened and turned to his aide. That's exactly why she's here, Liam. But we're not going to make it easy for her. If she thinks she can outsmart us, we'll just have to prove her wrong. Before Liam could respond, the door behind them slid open with a faint hiss. Vrexia's smooth, measured footsteps echoed on the polished floor as she approached. Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Carter, she said, her voice cool and even. I trust you've had some time to consider the proposal? Nathan turned, the smirk on his face replaced by a more neutral expression. We've reviewed it. Thoroughly. And your conclusions? Vrexia asked, folding her hands behind her back. Liam cleared his throat, glancing at Nathan, who gave him a subtle nod. We believe there are aspects of the agreement that could benefit both sides, Liam said. But we're concerned about the constraints. It's not just about trade and technology access. It's about maintaining our independence. Vrexia's sharp blue eyes studied him for a moment before shifting back to Nathan. Independence is not something we intend to strip from you. Integration into the intergalactic community does not equate to subjugation. Maybe not on paper, Nathan said. But once we sign that agreement, we're no longer just a colony. We become a cog in the machine. Vrexia tilted her head slightly, her expression thoughtful. Perhaps you see it that way because your experience with larger governing bodies has been less than ideal. But the Council is not your former government. We operate on principles of equality and mutual benefit. Nathan crossed his arms. Sounds good in theory, but what guarantees do we have that we'll have a say in what happens to us? Right now, we're negotiating with you one envoy. What happens when the Council decides it wants to change the terms? You will have representation, Vrexia replied. Your leaders will have a voice in those decisions, just as my people do. It is a fair and transparent system. Liam frowned. Fair and transparent to you, maybe, but to us, it's like we're being asked to hand over the keys to our own house. We need more than assurances. We need concrete guarantees. Vrexia's gaze lingered on him for a moment before returning to Nathan. You're both reasonable men. Surely you understand that guarantees in this galaxy are often built on trust and mutual respect. I am here to foster that trust, not to impose my will upon you. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Trust? That's a tricky thing. It's earned, not given freely. Vrexia stepped closer, her posture still calm but her presence commanding. Then allow me to earn it. Give me the chance to show you that this agreement will benefit your people. Tell me what you need, and I will work to accommodate it. Nathan glanced at Liam, then back at Vrexia. We'll need time to put together a counterproposal. Something that addresses our concerns and ensures we're not just signing our autonomy away. Of course, Vrexia said, nodding. Take the time you need. I am willing to listen. The room fell silent for a moment, the tension between them palpable. Nathan's gaze softened slightly as he studied her. You know, he said, you're not what I expected. Vrexia raised an eyebrow. In what way? I don't know, Nathan said with a small shrug. I guess I thought you'd be more aggressive, more forceful. Instead, you're almost… He paused, choosing his words carefully. Thoughtful. Vrexia allowed a hint of a smile to touch her lips. I believe you catch more insects with nectar than with a predator's snare, as your earth saying goes. Liam leaned closer to Nathan, muttering under his breath. I think she just called us insects. Relax, Liam, Nathan said, shooting him a look. She's making a point. Vrexia inclined her head slightly. My point is, I am here to help find a mutually beneficial path forward. If you're willing to work with me, I'll do everything in my power to ensure your colony retains its independence while still gaining the benefits of intergalactic membership. Fine, Nathan said. We'll draft a counterproposal and see where that takes us. But understand this, we're not going to compromise our values. I wouldn't expect you to, Vrexia said, and I look forward to reviewing your suggestions. She turned and walked toward the door, her smooth movements as precise as ever. Nathan watched her go, his expression thoughtful. What do you think? Liam asked quietly. I think she's trying to be genuine, Nathan said. And if that's true, we might actually have a shot at making this work. And if it's not true? Liam pressed. Nathan sighed. Then we'll find another way. Liam nodded, though he didn't look entirely convinced. Let's hope she's as honest as she seems. Otherwise, this is going to get messy. Nathan patted him on the shoulder. Let's not borrow trouble, Liam. We've got enough on our plate. Come on, let's start drafting that proposal. As the two men left the observation deck, the faint glow of the planet below bathed the room in a soft blue light. Outside, the galaxy continued on, its countless stars shining over the unfolding negotiations between two very different species. The faint hum of the ship's engines served as a backdrop as Nathan sat across from Vrexia in the small conference room. Between them, a holographic projection of the revised proposal flickered. Liam stood near the corner of the room, arms folded, occasionally nodding or grunting as Nathan explained each point. Vrexia's expression remained neutral, though her long tail twitched slightly behind her, a subtle indicator that she was listening closely. Section 3 outlines our terms for governance, Nathan said, pointing at the holographic display. We're not rejecting your framework outright, but we need a stronger assurance that our colony will have real input on trade policies and resource management. Vrexia rested her hands on the table, her long, slender fingers tapping once on the surface. I understand your concerns, Mr. Reynolds. However, these policies are designed to ensure stability and equitable distribution. Adjusting them could cause friction with other member civilizations. Friction or not, it's non-negotiable, Nathan replied. If we're going to join this intergalactic community, we need to know our voice won't be drowned out. Otherwise, you're not asking us to integrate, you're asking us to comply. Liam spoke up, his tone blunt. You said you were willing to listen. So, listen. This colony is small, yes, but it's our home. Our people fought hard to carve out a place on Alaravi, and we're not about to hand over the keys just because you're promising shiny new tech. Vrexia tilted her head, her sharp blue eyes narrowing slightly as she considered his words. You believe I underestimate your determination. That is not the case. What I am suggesting is not compliance, Mr. Carter. It is cooperation. But cooperation cannot be one-sided. Nathan leaned back in his chair, studying her. Then let's find a middle ground. You want cooperation and we want autonomy. So, what would it take to give us more of a say in how we handle our resources while still satisfying your council's guidelines? Vrexia's gaze flicked to the holographic proposal, then back to Nathan. If you are willing to submit regular reports to the council on your resource management and trade decisions, I may be able to argue for a more hands-off approach in other areas. However, those reports must be thorough and transparent. Nathan raised an eyebrow. You're suggesting we add more bureaucracy to keep our autonomy? That's not exactly an even trade. Consider it a measure of accountability, Vrexia countered. If your leadership demonstrates that it can manage resources effectively and ethically, the council would have no reason to interfere. Liam scowled. So we get autonomy only if we prove ourselves to you first? It is not about proving yourselves to me, Vrexia said calmly. It is about demonstrating your colony's ability to function as a responsible member of the intergalactic community. This is a matter of trust, Mr. Carter. If your leadership can show it is capable, the council will have no cause to impose stricter oversight. Nathan exchanged a look with Liam, who muttered something under his breath. Finally, Nathan turned back to Vrexia. All right, we'll consider it. But let's make one thing clear. We're not going to be micromanaged. If these reports turn into an excuse for more interference, the deal's off. Understood, Vrexia said with a slight nod. I will adjust the proposal to reflect these terms. As Vrexia made a few notes on her tablet, Nathan shifted in his chair, his tone turning more conversational. You know, you're a lot more accommodating than I expected. Vrexia glanced up, one eyebrow arched. You find it surprising that I am willing to compromise? Let's just say most of the aliens we've dealt with so far haven't been particularly interested in compromise, Nathan replied. It's refreshing. I am not most aliens, Vrexia said evenly. My role is to facilitate a stable integration, not to impose my will. If finding common ground achieves that goal, then I am willing to adapt. Liam snorted. Maybe we should put that in the agreement. The envoy will adapt. Nathan shot him a look. Liam. What? Liam said, holding up his hands. I'm just saying, it would be nice if that was part of the deal. Vrexia's lips quirked into a small smile. Perhaps I should include it, just to ease your mind, Mr. Carter. The room relaxed slightly, the tension ebbing as the three of them shared a brief moment of levity. Nathan leaned forward again, tapping the table with his finger. All right, let's move on to Section 4. There's something else we need to address, your security protocols. We can't agree to anything that allows your patrols unrestricted access to our colony's airspace. Vrexia straightened, her expression serious once more. Unrestricted access is standard procedure for maintaining interstellar security. If we are unable to monitor, then monitor from a distance, Nathan interrupted. If you're worried about threats to the trade routes, you don't need to park a ship over our settlement. Work with us, not over us. Vrexia's tail swished once behind her, a brief flash of irritation crossing her face before she composed herself. I understand your concerns. I will propose a compromise. Periodic flyovers at scheduled intervals with prior notification. No constant surveillance. Better, Nathan said, nodding. See, this is progress. Liam leaned against the wall, his arms still crossed but his expression less guarded. You know, envoy, you might actually win us over if you keep that up. I aim to be reasonable, Mr. Carter, Vrexia replied. And if reason can guide our negotiations, we may yet achieve a successful partnership. Nathan smirked, leaning back in his chair again. A partnership. I like the sound of that. Let's see how the council feels about these revisions once we send them back. I will present them as soon as possible, Vrexia said, and I will argue strongly in favor of these compromises. Good, Nathan said, because if they push back, we'll need you on our side. Vrexia met his gaze steadily. You have my word that I will advocate for your interests, so long as they align with the principles of mutual benefit. Fair enough, Nathan said, standing up and stretching. Liam, let's get back to work on the draft. Envoy, we'll forward you the updated version in a few hours. I will be ready to review it, Vrexia said, rising as well. Liam followed Nathan toward the door, pausing briefly to glance back at the alien diplomat. You know, he said, you're not so bad once you get past the teeth. Nathan stifled a laugh as Vrexia's eyebrow arched again. I'll take that as a compliment, she said. As the two humans exited the room, Vrexia remained behind, her gaze fixed on the holographic proposal. Despite the challenges, there was a flicker of hope that this collaboration might actually succeed. It was a delicate balance. Beside him, Liam paced back and forth, rubbing the back of his neck as he muttered to himself. Across from them, Vrexia remained calm, her tail coiling and uncoiling slowly, but her eyes betrayed her concern. "You're certain this information is accurate?" Nathan asked, his voice low but firm. "I verified it myself," Vrexia replied. "The rogue faction has set up operations in one of the outer settlements near the northern ridge. They've been using the cover of your local infrastructure to mask their movements. And you're just telling us this now?" Liam snapped. "How long have they been operating under our noses?" "Since before I arrived," Vrexia said. "Their presence was subtle at first, but their recent activity has become increasingly bold. I brought this to your attention as soon as I had confirmation." Nathan drummed his fingers on the edge of the table. "What exactly do they want?" Vrexia gestured at the hologram, zooming in on a cluster of buildings hidden in the shadow of a jagged ridge. "They're attempting to destabilize the negotiations between your colony and the Council. If they can cause enough disruption, the Council may withdraw its proposal entirely, leaving your colony vulnerable to external threats or even annexation by less scrupulous factions." Liam stopped pacing and frowned. "So what do we do about it?" "We can't let these people ruin everything we've worked for." "We take action," Nathan said firmly. He looked at Vrexia. "What's the plan?" Vrexia's tail flicked once. "We can send a team to confront them directly, but this must be handled carefully. If we act too aggressively, it may give them the justification they're looking for to accuse us of overreach." "You mean to accuse you of overreach?" Liam muttered. "Because let's be real, they're not going to blame us if we're just following orders." "I am suggesting a collaborative effort," Vrexia said, her tone measured. "We move in together, human and alien forces, so that any action we take is seen as a unified response. This shows both your people and mine that we are working as partners, not as opposing forces." Nathan nodded slowly. "All right, but we have to do this carefully. No heavy weapons, no unnecessary force. If we handle this diplomatically, we might be able to turn the tables on them without firing a shot." "That is my intention," Vrexia agreed. "Fine," Liam said, throwing up his hands. "Let's just make sure we're not walking into an ambush. I'll get the security team together." "I'll handle the communication," Nathan said, already moving toward the console. "We'll send a clear message that this isn't a crackdown, it's a conversation. If we can get them to stand down, all the better." Vrexia watched as the two humans moved into action, her gaze lingering on Nathan. His decisive nature was something she had come to respect. For all their differences, they were proving to be a strong team. The hovercraft skimmed low over the terrain, its engine humming softly. Nathan and Liam sat across from Vrexia in the passenger cabin, reviewing the plan one final time. The tension between them had settled into a determined calm. "Once we land, we'll approach their main building and request a meeting with their leader," Vrexia said. "Our goal is to de-escalate the situation before it can spiral out of control." "De-escalate, huh?" Liam said. "Let's just hope they're in the mood to talk." "They will be," Nathan said. "If they know what's good for them. They've been hiding in the shadows for a reason. They're not ready for an open confrontation." "Still," Vrexia added, "we must remain vigilant. They may attempt to provoke us." The hovercraft slowed as it neared the settlement. A cluster of low, angular buildings came into view, their edges sharp against the rocky landscape. The craft touched down with a gentle hiss and the group disembarked. Nathan led the way with Vrexia and Liam close behind. A few of the settlement's inhabitants peeked out from doorways, watching the trio with a mix of curiosity and unease. As they approached the central building, a small group of armed guards stepped out to meet them. "That's far enough," one of the guards said, raising a hand. "We're not here to fight," Nathan said, stopping a few paces away. "We just want to talk." "Talk?" the guard sneered. "Is that what they're calling it now?" Nathan held up his hands in a placating gesture. "Look, I get it. You're suspicious. But we're not here to cause trouble. We just want to clear the air and figure out how we can move forward without any more misunderstandings." The guard glanced at his companions, then back at Nathan. "Wait here." He disappeared inside, leaving the trio standing in the open. Liam shifted uneasily. "I don't like this." "Patience," Vrexia said softly. "This is a necessary step." After a tense few minutes, the guard returned, followed by a tall, broad-shouldered man with an air of authority. His sharp eyes swept over Nathan, Liam, and Vrexia before he spoke. "I'm Yarrick," he said. "And I'm not sure what you think you're doing here." "We're here to stop this before it goes too far," Nathan said, stepping forward. "We know what you're planning, Yarrick. Stirring up trouble to derail the negotiations won't help anyone. Jarek's gaze narrowed. You think you know what we're planning? Vrexia's voice cut in, calm and steady. We know enough. But this is not about placing blame. We want to understand your concerns and find a way to address them without conflict. Jarek crossed his arms. Concerns? My concern is that your council wants to turn us into puppets. My people won't stand for it. No one's turning you into puppets, Nathan said. We're here to make sure everyone's interests are protected. If you have specific issues with the proposal, let's talk about them. But inciting a confrontation isn't the answer. Jarek studied them for a long moment. You're awfully confident. But words are cheap. What makes you think we believe anything you have to say? Nathan stepped closer, meeting Jarek's gaze directly. Because I'm standing here, unarmed, willing to listen. If I didn't care about your concerns, I wouldn't be here. So talk to us. Tell us what you need to feel secure. Jarek's stance softened slightly, though suspicion still lingered in his eyes. You really think we can work something out? I do, Nathan said firmly. But only if we're honest with each other. You've got grievances, let's hear them. We'll bring them to the table and figure out a solution. After a moment, Jarek nodded slowly. All right, I'll hear you out. But if this turns out to be a trap. It's not, Nathan said. We're here to find common ground. Vrexia inclined her head. Thank you, Jarek. This is the first step. As the group moved inside to begin their discussion, the tension began to ease. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time it felt like a peaceful resolution was within reach. The council chamber aboard Vrexia's vessel was alive with murmurs as holographic representatives from various interstellar factions convened. The negotiation had reached its critical point, and Nathan sat across from Vrexia at the oval table, his elbows resting on the smooth surface. Beside him, Liam flipped through a tablet, occasionally whispering updates about the colony's leadership back on Alara V. Vrexia's serene exterior belied the high stakes of the moment. Nathan broke the silence. Envoy Vrexia, let's lay it all out. The compromise we reached with Jarek's faction is a turning point. It shows that humans and aliens can work together without one side imposing its will on the other. Vrexia met his gaze, her expression unreadable. The council is not accustomed to granting this level of autonomy to a newly integrated colony. If we push too hard, it could set a precedent they find troubling. Liam scoffed softly. Troubling? What's troubling is if we back down now. The entire colony rallied behind this agreement. We can't afford to give them any reason to think we're just bending the knee. Nathan nodded. Liam's right. This isn't just about trade routes or resource sharing anymore. It's about showing that we won't be intimidated into giving up control of our own future. If the council can't accept that, then maybe this partnership isn't what we thought it was. A low hum filled the room as one of the holographic delegates spoke up. Envoy Vrexia, these humans you have brought before us seem spirited. The alien's elongated face flickered slightly in the projection. But is this spirit truly what we need in our council? They are untested, unpredictable. Nathan leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. You keep saying untested like it's a bad thing. Sure, we're new to your interstellar network. But that doesn't mean we're incapable. We've built something strong on Alaravi, and we've done it without anyone holding our hands. If that's what you call untested, then maybe you should ask yourselves why you need so much red tape to function. A few of the other delegates shifted in their projections, their light forms flickering. Vrexia interjected before the murmurs grew louder. Nathan's point is that his colony has demonstrated an ability to thrive under challenging circumstances. This should not be seen as a threat, but as a valuable contribution to the council's diversity of perspectives. Liam muttered under his breath, nice save. Nathan gave him a quick glance, then turned back to the delegates. Listen, we're not here to start trouble. We're here to help build something better. But we can't do that if you expect us to roll over and accept every mandate without question. Give us a real seat at the table and we'll show you exactly why we belong here. The alien who had first spoken narrowed its large, reflective eyes. Your words are compelling, Mr. Reynolds. However, words alone are not enough. We require evidence of your commitment to the greater good. Evidence? Nathan repeated, spreading his hands. How about the agreement we just brokered with Jarek's faction? We took a group that was ready to tear everything apart and brought them back to the table. That's evidence. We're not here to cause chaos. We're here to prevent it. The chamber fell silent for a moment. Vrexia, sensing an opening, turned to the delegate. As you can see, these humans are capable of diplomacy and problem-solving. They have shown adaptability and an understanding of the complexities involved in interstellar relations. The council has much to gain from their inclusion. Another delegate, this one appearing as a tall, crystalline being, chimed in. I agree with Envoy Vrexia. Their approach to conflict resolution is unconventional but effective. We should consider the potential benefits of their perspective. Nathan shot a quick, grateful glance at Vrexia, then refocused on the discussion. If you give us the opportunity to be part of this council as equals, we'll bring our unique perspective and energy to the table. You'll see that we're not just another colony to be managed, we're partners. The first delegate spoke again, this time more thoughtfully. Perhaps it is worth the risk. But if the council is to agree, we will need reassurances that this collaboration will not destabilize our current balance. Vrexia leaned forward slightly. You have my assurance that I will personally oversee the initial stages of their integration. If any issues arise, I will address them promptly. Nathan added, we're committed to making this work. Just give us the chance to prove it. The chamber went quiet again as the delegates exchanged glances and whispered among themselves. Finally, the lead delegate addressed Vrexia. Envoy, your recommendation carries weight. If you believe this human colony can integrate successfully, we will tentatively approve their inclusion. However, they must agree to regular reviews and a probationary period. Vrexia nodded. A fair condition. Nathan turned to Liam, who gave a slow nod of approval. We can work with that, Nathan said. But let's make sure those reviews are transparent and fair. No hidden agendas. The lead delegate inclined its elongated head. Agreed. Let it be recorded. The human colony of Alara V will begin its probationary integration into the council, pending regular evaluations. The holographic projections dimmed as the delegates logged off one by one. Nathan let out a long breath and turned to Vrexia. Well, that's a step forward. It is a beginning, Vrexia said. But you have made your case well. The council sees potential in your people. Liam grinned. Not bad for a couple of untested guys from the back end of the galaxy, huh? Nathan clapped him on the back. Not bad at all. Vrexia allowed herself a small smile. I must admit I had my doubts at first, but you have proven to be worthy allies. Nathan offered his hand to her. Here's to the start of a real partnership. Vrexia hesitated for a fraction of a second before taking his hand. Indeed, to partnership. As they shook hands, the tension that had dominated their interactions from the beginning seemed to finally lift. The future remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. They had forged a connection that neither politics nor protocol could undo.